what was I gonna mention? So I guess we could kind of talk about which ones we were disappointed by in the MCU. Um, I don't know. What you can go. I want to let you start on this one. Which ones were you
Okay.
kind of just let down by?
Well,
Because yours is going to be grounded in more reason than mine. Mine is just going to be stupid. It was a stupid
So-
movie.
I have a feeling that we're going to agree on at least half of this.
Okay.
So, honest to goodness, I think Ant-Man and the Wasp
Ugh.
might be the most disappointing. Well, see, disappointing is where you're tripping me up, because disappointing implies that there is expectations.
Okay.
And when it comes to Ant-Man or Ant-Man and the Wasp, I had none.
I had none. I'm not going to
So
say
I couldn't have been disappointed by those.
Yeah, but
They're not very good.
But I'm going to be honest with you. I've gone into every Marvel movie not wanting to like it, except for Guardians of the Galaxy 2. That was the only one that I went into expecting it to be was
Okay.
I've gone into
because
every.
you'd already seen the first one.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, this is going to be really good, and it
Yeah.
it was good.
So, in terms of disappointing, I need to chew on that for a bit. But
I didn't want to watch Ant-Man. I didn't think it was going to be good, and I was 100% correct.
yeah, that's what happened to me. And Ant-Man and the Wasp, I think, is slightly worse
I could believe it.
because I saw that not too long ago, and I can't fucking remember it.
I can't remember like anything.
I can't remember a fucking thing from it. It's pretty sad because I'm usually very sharp about these kinds of things. But in terms of, are we talking just like overall quality as films? Or
I
just
think-
disappointments.
I think overall quality, the acting, the choice in that character, like that superhero, like making a standalone film with that character, like Ant-Man.
Okay.
Um,
In that
casting.
case, Ant-Man and the Wasp. But if we're just looking at overall quality as films, not like without any context or anything in terms of when they were made, The Incredible Hulk, I think, is the worst for me
Okay,
anyway.
is that Edward Norton or Eric Bana?
That would be Ed Norton,
Okay.
his sole entry in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Yeah, I think The Incredible Hulk is the worst of the lot. And that's somewhat unfair, though, because it was made in a totally different environment. As far as I know, it was in production when Iron Man was being filmed. So the whole concept of the Marvel Cinematic Universe wasn't crystallized yet. So I think there's two scenes. There's like two scenes in the whole movie, and maybe a couple of shots here and there of some Stark Industries signage.
Mm-hmm.
Other than the signage that could have been added in digitally during the editing process and post-production. Other than that, there's just like one or two scenes of dialogue featuring like Tony Stark shows up for one dialogue scene. And it looks like it was just slapped on there at the last minute. And it probably was.
It probably was.
So while they were making the film, they probably didn't know what was going on just yet. And also the Hulk, I believe Sony has joint custody over.
Oh.
So it was produced in this chaotic environment where it's not technically a Marvel Cinematic Universe film yet because we haven't taken the chains off yet. We haven't fully committed to this idea just yet until the film's basically finished. So there are elements to it that feel dated even for its time. And then the flow of the story does not cater to that universe style storytelling where we're dropping hints here and there at the existence of other characters in this realm. It's a weird little movie that feels half-assed in a lot of ways, including special effects, which in a special effects driven film is pretty
Not what
fucking
you-
bad.
Yeah, that's not what you want to say.
It's directed by Louis Leterrier, I think is how you pronounce it. He's Luc Besson's like understudy.
Oh, okay.
So he's a Frenchie. He made, I think, a lot of like parkour infused action films in France, and it shows in the choreography of some of the action scenes. Tim Roth I love Tim Roth. He is such a good villain in anything you put him in. He's the greatest. The one thing that sucks about him is that he's 5'0".
Yeah, he's tiny.
And I thought that was so funny in this Incredible Hulk movie because he's supposed to be playing like a British commando, like a special forces type guy.
Yeah.
And he's supposed to have been like a super great ass soldier in his youth. And in the movie, he's supposed to be like in his late 40s or something. He does not look like a soldier.
No, he does not.
He's 5 foot nothing.
A hitman at best.
Yeah. And it's just kind of weird watching him rub shoulders with like the rest of this commando team. That's like, hang on, he's supposed to be on the level with these guys. It's like he's a head shorter than them, and he looks old.
I'm not a big Ed Norton fan now that I think about it. I'm like, I mean, that's odd casting for that role, but I'm like, honestly, I don't know of any Ed Norton performances that I've really enjoyed. I've heard he's good in Rounders. I've seen American History X, and as I may have mentioned before, everybody in that movie was way too comfortable. Like, everybody does a really good performance in that movie. Almost too good, I feel like.
Vicky Valancourt.
Jeez. I mean, Stacy Keach, Ethan.
Oh, yeah.
What's his face? The big dude. His weight's fluctuated so much, but the big guy. And then there's just everybody's just way too comfortable in that movie in those roles. I'm like, okay, that's
yeah.
a little bit much. And then I think Fight Club. But honestly, I think the only Ed Norton movie that I enjoyed his performance was Birdman, which I don't really like that movie, but I kind of liked his character in that movie.
Yeah, I've heard he's one of the better parts of it.
Mm-hmm. I was really let down by that.
He's known to be a difficult personality to manage on the set, which is, I think, why he's not in the Marvel movies going forward. There's a lot of weird little quirks in The Incredible Hulk that feel like it had to have come from him. Like, it had to have come from him. I don't see that being in the script. Like, for instance, he does BJJ. He does Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in the movie. And he does breathing exercises, and not yoga, but like breathing exercises and stuff with a heart monitor to keep his anger under wraps.
Mm-hmm.
It just felt like weird shit that like late 2000s Ed Norton would think would be cool.
Yeah.
That should be in the movie or something, because it just didn't jive with the rest of the movie. And also the motivation. I'm kind of curious, actually, if Tim Roth is going to show up again in the Marvel Universe at some point, because he is not dead. At the conclusion of the film, he is choked out, but he is not dead, and he is a character by the name of Abomination. He is Hulk level strong. If we need someone to punch Thanos, I mean, if you're desperate, maybe you could point him in the right direction. But the motivations for his character were just shallow at best. He's just like on the drugs and is kind of power mad, I guess. He goes power crazy, but it's that big loud climax that all these superhero movies need to have, that it sometimes just doesn't feel warranted. In this case, it's a Hulk movie, so of course he has to get into a fist fight with a big monster.
Yeah,
it has to happen.
It has to happen.
But the way we get there is extremely rushed. Like, inside of like 30 seconds, Tim Roth goes from looking kind of spooky and cracked out to giant monster guy with bony protrusions.
I remember that scene. I've seen like bits and pieces of the Eric Bana and Ed Norton Hulk movies.
Yeah.
But my recall is just splicing the two together. But I do remember that.
And then they also set up another villain who, to date, has yet to pay off. It was Samuel Stearns, the leader. He's basically Smart Hulk.
Oh.
With a Hitler mustache. He's played by the guy that's in all those Coen Brothers movies.
Oh,
he was in Oh Brother Where Art Thou, and he's the guy that they put front and center on that
Buster Scruggs.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
I don't know his name off the top of my head, but
Tim Blake Nelson.
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's Tim Blake Nelson.
He was set up at the end of the movie. There has yet to be a payoff. I don't know that there ever will be. But yeah, to me, The Incredible Hulk it's messy. It doesn't really deliver on any front for the most part. The casting is just... it's just not great. Like, Ed Norton is fine. He's not amazing. He's fine. Liv Tyler was just like, we need a lady.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Like, we just need a lady. Doesn't really matter who. The one element that, funny enough, stuck around for the other films, the one element was William Hurt. And that was a major get, because I happen to really like William Hurt, and I feel like he did a very good job with the role, although Sam Elliott kind of kicked his ass in the Eric Bana Hulk. Same character, different actor. And Sam Elliott as a fucking general, yeah. I mean, yeah. With a bushy gray mustache. It doesn't really get better than that. I'm sorry.
I like how the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies were successful, and then they're like, well, let's keep doing this. And then the two other Spider-Man movies, The Amazing Spider-Man, nobody liked. And they're like, fuck. Okay, let's try this again.
Kyle, have you seen those?
No, I haven't seen one of them.
They're very bad.
I could believe it. I don't like I don't really like Spider-Man. I haven't even seen Homecoming. I've heard it's really good. I just haven't watched it.
Well, the funny thing about Spider-Man is that I feel like it's simple math. Kids like Spider-Man.
Yeah.
This is known. Like, kids all over the planet love Spider-Man. It's just a thing that it just works. But for me, what's always been funny with my relationship with Spider-Man is that I grew up in a time when the comics being written about Spider-Man were confusing and awful, and he was an adult. He was married when I was reading the comics. So there was a lot of fan uproar and outrage about oh, we need to get Spider-Man back to being a teenager because he's always supposed to be a teenager. It's like, not to me. To me, he had MJ waiting for him at home.
Yeah,
all the time.
He's a Spider-Man.
Yeah, Spider-Man.
Man, not boy. Man.
So yeah, when Homecoming came out, everybody was like, we finally got our kid Spider-Man back. And it's like, I never asked for this.
I didn't want this.
Because to me, that's actually what's actually turned me off from Spider-Man in recent years, is that I don't care about teenagers.
No.
I don't want to hear teenage stories, because I can't relate to that anymore.
No,
hell, I couldn't relate to that when I was in high school.
Is it Aunt May, now played by what's her name?
Marissa Tomei.
Yes. Yeah. Could you pick anybody less ant-like? I mean, jeez.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of cute the way they point out that Aunt May is absurdly hot.
Yeah, crazy hot. She has a opening sex scene with Philip Seymour Hoffman in Before the Devil Knows You're Dead. Whew. It's no bad lieutenant, but I mean it's it's pretty good.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't remember a minute of Ant-Man. That's how much I didn't like it. I could not care less about. Well, first of all, Paul Rudd is stoner comedy. That's what I've always associated him with, is the Seth Rogen movies. He's funny. I think he's funny. What is that? Wanderlust is good. Role Models. He's a funny guy.
He was good in Forgetting Sarah Marshall also.
He was good. Yeah. He has he has a place.
Yeah, just to pull a quote from that movie. They call me Q-New. It's like, what does that have some sort of deep Hawaiian meaning? Chris.
It means Chuck or something like that. Yeah.
He to me, Paul Rudd is a guy.
Yeah.
He's who you cast if you want a normal, relatable, late 30s, early 40s guy. Because he has that look to him where it's just he just looks like a nice guy. There's a
really funny joke Joe McHale has in that TV show Community, and somebody mentions Paul Rudd. He's like, they're talking about religion. He's like, religion is a lot like Paul Rudd to me. He's like, I get it. I wouldn't want to take it away from anybody, but I'm not going to stand in line for it.
That's damn.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Because that's how I feel. It's like, hang on, Paul Rudd is headlining this film,
right?
What?
Okay.
Put Michael Douglas on the poster. Fuck.
Yeah, that's better. Yeah. I think they were like, well, we need somebody else charismatic like Robert Downey Jr. Like, oh, Paul Rudd, he's charismatic. And
he's
charismatic. And Jason Bateman isn't fit enough to.
He's also a prick.
Yeah. He's good though. I love Jason Bateman.
He's a very specialized tool.
The Gift. Have you seen The Gift?
I have.
Yeah, that's
he is very, very, very good at what he does.
Yeah.
But if you ask him to do other things, you're going to be disappointed. But Paul Rudd, to me, he's 40-Year-Old Virgin, for instance.
yeah,
He's funny in it.
very funny,
Anchorman, he's funny.
very
But
funny.
guess where he falls in that list in terms of cast. He's a supporting actor.
Yeah,
And to me, that's forever his role. Like, he was in
already a
This
brother
Is-
was
what-
good. I like
was
that.
he in This Is 40?
Yeah, that's funny too.
Okay, see, I haven't seen that.
But of those Judd Apatow, whatever you want to call them, comedy movies, that's pretty good. Like I'd say that's pretty high
that's the
up
one
there.
that seemed very autobiographical.
It's supposed to be the characters from 40-Year-Old Virgin, not 40-Year-Old Virgin. Knocked Up. It's the two characters from Knocked Up.
Yeah, but isn't that like his wife and his daughters?
That's his wife and daughters, but yeah, he's,
Jesus, that's
it's
a little
ve-
weird.
It's really funny.
Okay,
Funny
kids, go hang out with fake dad while I watch behind this camera.
Funny People was one of the worst things I've ever seen. I hated every minute of it.
It's pretty
Awful.
It's an ugly movie.
It's
It's
stupid.
nasty.
But
Eric Bana.
I was gonna say
Eric
you and I
Bana, man.
love the Eric Bana. He was
Eric
the only
Bana
good
is
part.
a blessing unto that film.
That
Other
fucker
than
gets that fucker.
little fucker runs up, big fucker smashes him, smashes
funny.
him.
I would love to get drunk with him and have him explain the rules of rugby. That would be a lot of fun.
My old roommate watched a documentary that he made.
Oh really?
Apparently, he's one of those actors that he acts like almost strictly to finance his car habit. 'Cause
Oh.
as you'll see, he's not an amazing actor. He's just
No.
a fairly good-looking Aussie
Yeah.
that has some physicality and can fit into most roles.
Yeah.
But apparently his real passion is cars, and he refers to his car as his beast.
His beast?
So there's this line that my roommate used to toss out there: my mates and my beast. Like that's the two things he cares about.
That's weird.
His mates and his beast.
Um.
But yeah, Ant-Man. I remember the first one mostly. There's some holes there, but I remember it. Ant-Man and the Wasp. Just
Gone.
nothing. I can't remember shit about it. All I know is that first Ant-Man movie. I'm sure you heard about this. It had a troubled production history.
I did not.
Okay, well, I think very, very late, maybe even into production. Maybe not, but Edgar Wright was tapped to direct it. And Edgar Wright being the Shaun of the Dead guy, the Baby Driver guy, the Hot Fuzz guy, he's a very talented British director who has a very distinct style. So this is where the tinfoil hat theory stuff starts to come into play, where the rumor was that he was kicked off the project because of creative differences with Marvel.
I can see that.
In that he has creative instincts,
Yeah.
and wanted to put his own spin on things. Whereas they're looking at the big picture of how does Ant-Man bleed into the next film and the next film and the next film.
Yeah, we have to make
don't
money
want
here.
we don't want one sore spot in our filmography. We want everything to be consistent. Not outstanding, just consistent. And he strikes me as the kind of guy who would have given them something radically different, which does not fit the Marvel mold. But so what happened was they swapped him out for someone I don't even remember their name. In fact, I'm going to have to look it up because as far as I know, he's mostly a hired gun.
Who was Ant-Man for? That's the thing I have.
That is a very good question, Kyle.
Because Guardians of the Galaxy, Guardians of the Galaxy could be for kids or adults. Thor, I'm gonna say more adults. What's his face? Captain America, adults. Tony Stark, Iron Man, that's kids. Spider-Man, kids.
Ant-Man, I think, was aimed at kids.
Really? He doesn't even have a cool. But that's the thing. He doesn't have a cool suit. His powers aren't that great, and he's there's nothing interesting about his character, like about the Ant-Man character. Like Tony Stark, billionaire, Thor, God.
The main thing that they've been leaning on with his character, and this extends to Ant-Man and the Wasp also, is he's a divorced father, and that's what separates him from the pack.
I just fell asleep.
He's a guy with a checkered past who's trying to make up for past sins, and he has a little girl that he's forever trying to hold on to, but kind of sucks at it. Point is, he has a family that he's estranged from, which, you know, I can appreciate that, because that is unique. Like, we don't have any other characters in that universe that have that particular set of circumstances.
That's fucking boring.
It is boring, but you need to remember also, though, 25, 30 years ago, there was a little movie called Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yeah.
Also a Disney film. Made them a lot of money back then. And this is like a spiritual successor to that, as far as I can tell. And a lot of the stuff, especially towards the climax, involving his daughter and like the toys and stuff, that felt very, you know, kid-friendly. Although some of the violence in the movie is shocking. Like when the bad guy, the guy from New York, when he evil Jeff Bezos, when he turns the one guy into goo, oh my god, that's awful. That is just awful. And by the way, Ant-Man, both 1 and 2, directed by a fellow by the name of Peyton Reed. He directed Bring It On, Yes Man, and this is actually a very good film, The Breakup. So he has only like 5 or 6 films on his filmography. Very, very strange set of films there, but point is, he got slotted in there because Edgar Wright got nixed from the program. But yeah, Ant-Man and the Wasp, I can't remember much about it. I remember Michael Douglas is always welcome. Like, he lights up the screen whenever he's there. Michelle Pfeiffer too. Like, that was a nice little surprise. It was like, "Hi, lady. It's been a while." The thing that bothered me about both of those movies is that there's a clear disconnect between the dialogue scenes and the special effects scenes. It almost feels like a different director or a different unit took over whenever the special effects kicked into gear, because the energy level is radically different. Like, the shots and the editing during all the dialogue scenes is very standard stuff. It feels very flat, very boring.
Mm-hmm.
But then we go into like all the miniature scenes and stuff and all the action scenes, and it suddenly springs to life, and even the color palette changes radically. Yeah, actually, very similar. Where it's like, oh shit, it's time to wake up. But it just feels like not a very cohesive film. Both of them, in fact, and the villains in both of them are some of the flattest we get in the entirety of Marvel, which is saying a lot, because the Marvel villains, in fact superhero villains in recent days, have not been the best, although Marvel's starting to clean up their act ever since like the whole Thanos business. But yeah, Ant-Man.